Hello. So today's video, I just wanted to go over my trading strategy a little bit. My last video was more just going over like trying to establish some sort of credibility here. That's why I'm starting off on the payout screen again because just have to prove that shit works. I'm not just talking out of my ass here. Can refresh the page. No inspect fucking element bullshit is going on here. We're all good. So anyway. Here's the account I've been trading on lately. We've been doing pretty good, solid green days. Been sticking to my rules, which is pretty much just keep it to scalps. I don't like holding for super long. Uh, that means high win rate, low RR, which works out, obviously. Profit factor isn't anything horrible. Um, but yeah, so I just wanted to go over a little bit how I trade. I wanted to explain that a little bit. Right off the start, I just wanted to say I don't have like a checklist or something that some people do. I know that that can work. For me, I tried to like set up some confluences or like if this plays out every time, I'm going to take that trade. But the market doesn't really, in my experience, allow you to do that. Like, unless you're stacking a ton of confluences for really, really strong entries, in which case you're almost getting no entries anyway, which isn't good for me as a scalper. That's just not how I like to trade. So, yeah, I don't know. I like to stick to what I know, and I like to be able to adjust to the markets based on how they're working instead of marrying a method, marrying a strategy, and that being it forever. So I guess what it comes down to is mine's a little bit more discretionary. What the? Okay, this just happened in the last 3 minutes. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna keep going. Act like that's not happening right now. That's crazy. All right, so we're gonna start it off. Remove this indicator. Adds a lot of the mess to the screen. Don't need any of that. The only things that I would say are really required, I guess, required's kind of, I wouldn't even say that. The only thing that you would want to have is probably this indicator right here, ICT kill zones and pivots. So here are my settings. I'll scroll through it. This is really, really nice for just marking out levels, so you don't have to be manually drawing lines on your charts every 2 seconds. So it'll mark out your opens, your closes, your weekly, your daily, your midnight, pretty much all that. It just makes it nicer so you don't have to do stuff manually. What else do we have? So over here, precision swing point. This is really nice. I like this. PSPs, precision swing points, are the main thing that I trade. That's what I started trading, so that's like my favorite confluence because I've spent the most time with it, and I've seen the most success with it, definitely. So these are my settings for this. I think by default, it's set up to have YM as a PSP as well. I don't see much success with trying to use YM as a correlated market with NQ and ES. This push up is insane, by the way. If anyone's trading this right now, this is, I don't even know what to say, 200 points in the last fucking 3 minutes. Wow. That's literally more than like we've moved all day. Actually, no, we had this giant. Listen, I just came back from outside. I didn't know what's going on in these charts lately. But anyway, into the strategy a little bit more. I also use VWAP just because it's strong. There's no reason not to have VWAP on your chart, in my opinion. Like, I have it, it doesn't even stand out that much. These are like, I have it very calm settings if you want to copy them. It just looks good right there. So, let's get into this. First of all, PSPs. I talked about them a little bit. How do I use them? All right. First of all, what we need to know about PSPs is I don't count a PSP unless it's a candle 2 closure. What's a candle 2 closure? It is when a candle takes the previous candle's wick and then closes below the wick, like closes below where the previous candle closed. So here, the wick, so the previous candle's right here. We wicked out the previous wick, and then came and closed below where it closed. So that's a candle 2 closure. What does that mean? When a candle 2 closure happens, we're looking for a candle 3 expansion, which means this next candle we expect to not go past the equilibrium of the previous candle, of the candle 2, and then to drop down, and then that to continue with candle 4, and so on and so on. The way you use this is you don't trade candle 2. You can't predict candle 2. Candle 2 is your indicator to get into a trade. You're trading candle 3 here, And obviously this isn't like a surefire thing. Not every channel 2 closure is going to be signifying a giant leap in the other direction. It could also very easily be consolidation. But what we can do is we can stack that candle 2 closure with a PSP, right? So let me find a good example. First of all, really big thing to say, don't use the 1 minute with PSPs. Please, please, please. Like, it'll work one time out of 100. You can see here how many PSPs are just in the middle of this range. Like, sure, you could have caught it here and caught your 40 points or whatever, but don't take them in the middle of a range because they could just as easily go against you. So like here we got a PSP and then it just decides to just trail off and ignore it. So not every time. The lowest time frame I would use for this is going to be the 5 minute. The 3 minute I've seen work. I'm not going to say I haven't. Speaking of, we just got one. Maybe we'll see one play out right now. But actually probably not with this strong of a push up. But the 3 minute is also not as strong as I like. I like the 5, the 15. I really like the 15. 15 has a very good success rate. 30 minute, pretty damn solid. I like the 30 minute. 1 hour, pretty solid. 4 hour, pretty solid. The daily. So the thing about daily PSPs is because I scalp the daily time frame, like when a PSP happens on the daily, sure, it does signify that we're going to get this push down. But what you don't know is when that push down is going to start. So this could have very easily come way higher up into the wick before the push down starts. And on a daily candle, that could be 100 points, which you're not going to run that big of a stop. So it gets kind of sketchy as soon as you get to the daily. 4 hour, 1 hour, 30, 15, 5. Keep it at that. Keep it simple. Easy. All right. So what are we looking for here? How do I answer? So with a candle 2 closure, what we're looking for specifically is it needs to also sweep some important point. So for example here, I'm pretty sure we did this on the 4 hour today. Yes, we did. All right. So as you can see here, this is a beautiful candle 2 closure, candle 3 expansion. Like this is textbook today. So what do we got here is we have our candle 2 closure. We took out this liquidity right here. This is gone. We took it out and we dropped. So if this wick came up to here, let's just say, hang on. Let's just say it came up to like right here. It didn't take this liquidity. So that candle 2 closure, I wouldn't take a trade on that because it didn't sweep anything. We're probably still going to come up to sweep something before we come down. So the only way that I would enter like a trade like this is, first of all, this isn't a PSP, so this isn't like perfect. If this was a PSP, this would be amazing. But what we'd be looking for is the candle 2 to sweep liquidity, and then the candle 3 expansion. We trade the candle 3 expansion. What we want this to be is a PSP as well. And then the key to staying profitable using this is trailing stops. If you don't know how to trail a stop, and I don't mean just like randomly dragging your stop loss behind where price is going. That's not what I mean. I mean, if you don't know where price needs to hit before you can go, let's say, break even or move your stop into profit, then you're going to get screwed. So what I mean by this is, so let's say we find something like this on the higher time frame. Also, with all of this, if your trade doesn't align with the higher time frame, it doesn't matter. Ignore any of the confluences. Like the higher time frame matters more. So if you have, let's say on the 4 hour, we have this candle 2 closure going down, we swept liquidity. And then on the 5 minute back here, let's say there was pretty much the exact same thing in the opposite direction. We value the 4 hour more than the 5 minute because it's a higher time frame. Any time that happens, that stays true. Okay, so let me find another example here. Something else big that I didn't mention yet is whenever I use this strategy, I also tend to size pretty heavily. I'm not going to get into that super heavily in this video. I feel like that could be another video on its own. But I size heavily because the way I see it, if you're going to be trading prop firms, it's to minimize your risk, and so you want to maximize your return on your investment. So if you're trading micros, let's say you're trading 1 micro per trade, that's not a good ROI, man. Like you're gonna make maybe the accounts, like you'll probably get back the account's value after like a month of trading, the average person there, versus if you just upped your size. If you can have something that's profitable, up your size. Like if you can back test it or forward test it, prove yourself profitable, please up your size on prop firms. I'm serious. This is like, I think most traders out there would disagree, but that's because a lot of them out there are trading live accounts. And I'm not telling you to go out there and blow fundeds using 5 contracts on your first day trying to scalp. That's not what I'm saying. You're going to blow the account. That's not news to anybody. All right. So I found another example here. I just went to a random time on the chart where I found one. This is like a month back, just on the hourly. This is one of the nicest examples I saw, just to make it clean and easy to understand. So what am I looking for here? So we're starting it out on the 5-minute right here. What time is it? We're starting it off at 7:55. We don't really see anything here so far, so we're just going to keep skipping ahead. Gonna wait and wait for an important closure here, so 2 more, and then the hourly closes. By the way, let's just skip right here. This isn't even what I was talking about, by the way. But PSP, candle 2 closure, swept liquidity, looks great. All you to do here is take a long as soon as the PSP closes, confirming the candle closure is what you want. You put a stop at the bottom of the wick. You put your TP wherever you're comfortable, or, and this is completely optional, I'm not telling you to do this or not do this, but what I do is I don't set a TP. I will trail a stop, and whenever it decides to finally get that retracement, my stop loss acts as my TP. So this makes it so if there's ever a data wick or some random Trump tweet that comes out and you're on the correct side of the market, you're going to catch that big move, and you'll make way more than if you had just a TP set somewhere. So this obviously does mean also, though, that you can't just walk away from the trade, which was never an option to begin with. This is scalping. We're not doing that. So anyway, though, this is completely valid. I would have probably been stopped out somewhere around here as soon as it started coming down and I was trailing a stop. But let's continue on here. There's a better example. So we're going to skip to the 9 o'clock candle. All right. Here's our next 1 hour closure. We are immediately after the 10 a.m. candle as the 11 a.m. is forming. We have this beautiful 1 hour candle 2 closure PSP. What can we read from this chart right here? So first of all, swept Asia highs. Great. Already candle 2 closure, swept liquidity. Looks great. PSP added on to it, looks even better. This is a massive rejection wick. So candle 3, we would fully expect, and we could expect with confidence, to enter here. So what do? We come down to the lower time frame. This candle closes as a PSP on the 5-minute, as you can see here. Hang on. Bam. So what do? What we do is we set up a short. That is not the short button. We set up a short. We put our stop at the top of the candle's wick. We put our TP. Again, I'm going to say it again. I don't have one. You can set one. Doesn't really matter. You're going to be trailing stop with this strategy no matter what. So you're going to get stopped out likely before you hit a TP anyway. So I failed to see the point in setting one. So let's see here. What shall we get? Getting solid push. We'd be trailing. And this would probably have stopped me out right here. So how many points is that? 80 points. Within how many minutes? 11:01 to 11:14. 80 points in 12 minutes. So, like, even if you get stopped out here is the thing. Even if you get stopped out here, if you are sizing heavily because you have conviction in your trade, this with my sizing is somewhere around $1,000. Do that 3 times a week, you're good. You're more than fine. And if you copy trade that, you're doubly fine. So it's genuinely that fast though. And like, you can't feel bad about missing moves. FOMO is massive when you're doing this kind of strategy. So let's say you catch a PSP. PSPs are at the start of almost every major move in the market. Let me just go over that a little bit more. A PSP is literally just when a candle closes differently on 2 different charts. So just in case y'all don't want to use the indicator and you want to do it manually for whatever reason, let me see if I can find one here. Yeah, right here. So like, this is a PSP. Obviously this is the end of the week's candle, so we wouldn't do anything with it, but this is a PSP. Bullish on NQ, bearish on ES, indicating a reversal down. So what that means is, a lot of times when you're doing this, you're going to be trailing your stop, and you're going to get stopped out right before the big move that the PSP causes. You can't re-enter. You're no longer scalping, you're just gambling. The scalp only happens at the start of the move, and the action of scalping is you trailing the stop as the move progresses. So it doesn't make sense to enter in midway through the move and pray that it doesn't go against your stop, because look, your stop isn't big. And number 2, you're no longer entering off of a PSP candle 2 closure, because you're already entering midway through the candle 3. So that's the thing with this. And you don't have time for hesitation. You don't have time to watch the reaction, because PSPs move fast, very, very fast. I'm talking like 20 points in seconds. So when that PSP forms, you enter, put your stop at the top or the bottom of the wick, and let it go. All right. So here, I'm going to find one more example for this video. All right. Mixing it up a little bit here this time. This one is during Asia session. So let's see how this plays out. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to be looking through these candles. We're going to be waiting for higher time frame closures. So we just had a 1 hour close. Let's take a look. Still pushing down. We don't expect anything here. And I'm only doing this as a 1 hour close right now, but just for the record, because I obviously have saw the chart before I went into replay mode, and I know it's going to appear. But you can also be looking for this PSP on the 15, the 30, the 4, the daily, anything like that. So don't, that I'm not saying at all that this only appears on the hourly. So that's another hourly close. Nothing. So we just keep waiting. 1 hour PSP. All right. Exact same thing again. So PSP right here, candle 2 closure, swept the liquidity. Why did we not enter this candle 2 closure, Gavin? Because, do you see it purple? No, it's not a PSP. Don't start trying to take random trades because you're like, oh, this is halfway close to what I wanted. Like, this is the candle 2 closure. It got the candle 3 expansion. So obviously candle 4 is going to go up. Is that bottom candle a PSP? No. So, hey, you take that trade. You didn't get it from me. This trade, on the other hand, looks great. Also, though, probably could have scalped this. Not going to lie. Not going to say you couldn't. But fuck that shit. This is the trade you take. This is the PSP. Okay? This is the only valid trade here. As soon as that PSP closes and you see that it's swept liquidity, what are we doing? We already know this by now. We've done it so many times. We're longing. We're putting our stop at the bottom of the wick. You're like, holy shit, Gavin, that's a massive stop. Guess what? You size down. It's crazy. It's a crazy concept, you know? And then here's something else. Definitely can take this and use it. So here, you use the fib tool. Fib, bam. All right. So what you're looking for here is, sorry, I drew that the wrong way. What you're looking for here is if it comes past OTE, that trade's no longer valid. So you can put a stop a little bit at OTE. Bam, smaller stop. Now what are we doing? Again, fuck a TP. All right. We're in this bitch. We're scalping it. Let's see. See how the PSP plays out. Stops would be right here. I would have been stopped. I would have put a stop right here. All right. What is that? 21 points. Done. You're like, but you just risked this many points for this many points. No. No. I mean, yes, but look at the stats. You have a low RR, but you have the win rate to make up for it. That's scalping. I hate to tell you, but you're not going to have a 5 RR with an 80% win rate. Pick your side and stick to it, okay? You either get your 50%, 40% win rate with your 2 RR, 1.5 RR, or you get a high win rate and you get a sub 1 RR. I'm not going to make that decision for you. I'm just going to tell you what works for me. All right. So there is a little bit more to this, but this is definitely enough information for one video. I'll probably make another video on how to use OTEs and get a little bit more into support and resistance soon and how to use that with PSPs, because you don't want to be taking PSPs against your bias. Like on a day like this, like when we got our PSP right here, you wouldn't want to be, like if you had a bearish bias, I wouldn't be longing it, even if it had the setup. So you need to figure out how to have a bias. If you don't know how to get your daily bias, T-Trades has a good video on it if you look for that. But yeah, I really don't have too much more to say here. I really went over to everything I wanted to in this video, which was PSPs, candle 2 closures, candle 3 executions, and the fact that your candle 2 needs to sweep liquidity. Higher time frame matters more. And that's what you should be coming around with this video with. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but I promise you, if you just stick to high time frame candle 2 closures that are PSPs, which, don't forget, they sweep liquidity, and what else? They are not in the middle of a range. If all of those things happen and you take that trade every time, you will be profitable. If you have any kind of risk management. I'm not even saying you have to be the best stop trailer in the world. If you just go break even when it makes a new low, you will be profitable with this strategy. I promise you it is. Don't overcomplicate this. Don't try to add more to it. Obviously, continue to use your own confluences to develop your own narrative. Fair value gaps, still valid. Inverse fair value gaps, still valid. I'm not discounting any of that information that you probably already know. I'm just saying use it, look at it, realize that it's there, but maybe use this as your execution instead of just executing off of the CE of a fair value gap and hoping that it holds. This is a little bit stronger. This works more. You can feel better about it, and just all around, it's how I like to trade. If you don't like to scalp and the idea of scalping terrifies you, this probably won't be good for you. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, hopefully y'all actually try this out. Hopefully it works out for y'all. It's been cooking. I don't trade anything else. And I have something like, I think 25K in payouts in the last like month or so. So yeah, there you go. That's all you need. That is the 3 confluences. If you had to learn 3 confluences, what did we learn from this? PSP, liquidity sweep, candle 2 closure. Done. All right. Bye-bye.